Back in those days, that was completely normal. You would arrange marriages early to build alliances between tribes. On the way back home, Yasuge stopped to eat and drink with a group of Tatars. He was dying, and shortly after that he was gone. Temujin, just a young boy, was now the head of his family, his mother Holin. Genetic studies suggest that around 16 million people alive in the world are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. That is roughly 1 in every 200 people on Earth. His DNA is literally woven into the fabric of. Imagine this. You are just 9 years old. Your father has just been poisoned and killed by your enemies. Your own tribe, the people who were supposed to protect you, they abandon you. They leave your family alone in the middle of one of the coldest, most dangerous lands on Earth. No food, no shelter, no protection. Children in that situation would not survive. But this child was different. This child would grow up to conquer more land than any human being in the history of the world. He would build an empire so large and so powerful that it stretched from the Pacific Ocean all the way to Eastern Europe. He would change the course of history, reshape entire civilizations, and leave behind a legacy that the world still talks about. Over 800 years later, that child's name was Temujin, and the world would come to know him as Genghis Khan. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mr. Shazade, and today on this channel, we're diving deep into one of the most unbelievable true stories in all of human history. This is not just a story about war and conquest. This is a story about survival, about betrayal, about rising from absolutely nothing and becoming everything. Let's begin. Our story starts around the year 1162, somewhere in the vast, open grasslands of Mongolia. Mongolia, even today, is one of the most remote places on Earth. Endless green steppes, freezing winters, scorching summers. No cities, no kingdoms. Just tribes of nomadic people moving from place to place, herding animals, fighting each other for land and resources. That was a hard life, a brutal life. And into this world, a boy was born. His father's name was Yasuge, the leader of a small Mongol clan. And when his son was born, Yasuge had just returned from a raid where he captured an enemy warrior named Temujin. So he named his newborn son Temujin. There's actually an interesting legend around Temujin's birth. They say he was born with a blood clot in his fist. In Mongol culture, that was seen as a sign that this child was destined to be a great warrior. Now, whether you believe in signs or not, one thing is clear. This boy's life was never going to be ordinary. When Temujin was about 8 or 9 years old, his father took him to a neighboring tribe to find a bride for him. Back in those days, that was completely normal. You would arrange marriages early to build alliances between tribes. On the way back home, Yasuge stopped to eat and drink with a group of Tatars, and the Tatars poisoned him. By the time Yasuge made it home, he was dying, and shortly after that he was gone. Temujin, just a young boy, was now the head of his family. His mother Holin was left with Temujin and his brothers and sisters. And almost immediately, the clan abandoned them. Why? Because they didn't want to be led by a child. They took the horses, they took the food, they left. This is the moment that would define Temujin forever. His mother Holin was an incredible woman. She refused to give up. She fed her children by foraging, digging up roots, catching fish, hunting small animals. They survived the harsh Mongolian winters through pure willpower and determination. And Temujin watched all of this. He watched his mother fight every single day just to keep them alive. He learned resilience from her. He learned that hardship does not have to break you, it can build you. But life was not done testing him. As Temujin grew into a teenager, he faced betrayal after betrayal. At one point, his own half-brother within his own family stole a horse that Temujin had caught. Temujin went and took it back. And then, in a chilling moment, Temujin killed his half-brother over it. Now, that sounds extreme, and it is, but you have to understand the world Temujin lived in. On the Mongolian steppe, weakness got you killed. Resources were life. If you let people take from you, you died. This was the hard truth of that world, and things got even worse. A rival tribe, the Taikiats, came and captured Temujin. They locked him in a wooden kang, the type of wooden restraint they put around your neck and shoulders. They kept him as a prisoner, passing him from family to humiliate him. But one night, Temujin escaped. He hid in a river, submerged up to his neck in freezing cold water to avoid being caught. A man from a local family found him and helped him hide. This man risked his own life to protect Temujin. And Temujin never forgot that. Throughout his entire life, loyalty was the most important thing to him. He rewarded those who were loyal, and he was absolutely ruthless with those who betrayed him. That lesson started right here, in that river. Now, around this time, something very important happened. Temujin reunited with his childhood betrothed, a girl named Bort. He married her, and for a brief moment, things started to look better for this young man. But life had one more punch waiting for him. Shortly after their marriage, a tribe called the Merkits, enemies of Temujin's father, came and kidnapped Bort. This was devastating, but Temujin did not sit down and cry. He went and built alliances. He reached out to old friends of his father. He got help from a powerful warlord named Togrul and his childhood blood brother Jamuga. Together they launched a rescue mission and got Bort back. This moment was massive, because it showed Temujin's greatest skill, not just fighting, but building relationships, getting people to stand behind him, creating loyalty. And from here, the rise truly began. The Mongolian steppe in the 1100s was like a constant war zone. Dozens of different tribes all fighting each other, stealing each other's horses, cattle, women, children. Endless cycles of revenge and raids. No one had ever managed to unite these tribes. It had never been done. Temujin decided he was going to do it, and he had a very specific, almost revolutionary way of doing things in the old Mongolian tribal system. Your position was based on your bloodline. If your father was a noble, you were noble. If your father was a servant, you were a servant. That was it. Temujin changed this. He promoted people based on ability and loyalty, not birth. If you were a great fighter or a great leader, he would elevate you, regardless of where you came from. This was radical for his time. He also outlawed the kidnapping of women, something that had been a constant source of tribal conflict for generations. He created rules, structure, discipline, and people responded. Warriors from other tribes began joining him. His reputation grew. Not everyone was happy about this rising power. His old blood brother, Jamuga, the man who had helped him rescue Bort, became his rival. The two of them were like mirror images of each other. Both brilliant, both powerful, but with completely different visions. Jamuga believed in the old system of tribal bloodlines, traditional ways of Temujin, and believed in something new. He fought. And after years of conflict, Temujin defeated Jamuga. Now here is a deeply human moment in this story. After capturing Jamuga, Temujin did something unexpected. He offered Jamuga his friendship back. He asked him to be his companion again, like when they were boys. Jamuga refused. He said a sky could not have two suns. He asked Temujin to give him a noble death, without bloodshed. Temujin honored that request even in his rivalries. There was a strange code of honor. By 1206, after years of battles, alliances, and diplomacy, Temujin had done the impossible. He had united all the Mongol tribes under one banner. A great assembly called the Kurultai was held on the banks of the Onan River, and at this assembly, Temujin was given a new title, Genghis Khan. Now, here is where the story becomes almost impossible to believe. Genghis Khan turned to the outside world and he began to conquer it. His military wasn't like anything the world had ever seen. The Mongol army was fast, terrifyingly fast. They were all on horseback, every single soldier. And they could cover more ground in a single day than most armies could in a week. But speed was not their only weapon. Genghis Khan used brilliant strategy, psychological warfare, deception. He would send spies ahead to spread fear and confusion. He would offer cities a chance to surrender peacefully, and if they did, he would treat them fairly. But if they resisted, consequences were devastating. He turned his attention first toward China, specifically the Xizia kingdom, and then the Jin dynasty. These were powerful, wealthy kingdoms with massive armies and fortified cities. But walls meant nothing to an enemy that moved like the wind. Genghis Khan found ways around them, through them, over them. He used siege weapons, catapults, fire bombs, technologies he learned from the Chinese engineers he captured, and then put to work for him. Yes, he had a habit of capturing skilled engineers, doctors, scholars, and administrators, and using their knowledge to make his empire stronger. He was a conqueror, but also surprisingly the learner. By the time Genghis Khan died in 1227, the exact circumstances are still debated by historians. Some say a riding accident, some say illness. His empire covered around 24 million square kilometers. That is roughly 16% of the entire Earth's land surface. No one before or since has ever conquered that much territory in a single lifetime. His sons and grandsons would continue expanding the empire after his death. His grandson Kublai Khan would go on to rule China and found the Yuan dynasty. At its peak, the Mongol Empire stretched from Korea in the east, all the way to Hungary and Poland in the west. From Siberia in the north to Vietnam in the south was the largest contiguous empire in the history of the world. And it all started with a 9-year-old orphan on a freezing Mongolian steppe with no food, horse, no tribe. Just a mother who refused to give up and a boy who was watching everything, learning everything. Today, genetic studies suggest that around 16 million people alive in the world are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. That is roughly 1 in every 200 people on Earth. His DNA is literally woven into the fabric of humanity. So what is the lesson in all of this? I think there are many. But the one that stands out to me the most is this: your starting point does not determine your ending point. TMUJ and had every reason to fail. Abandoned, orphaned, captured, enslaved, betrayed. By any measure of logic, that story should have ended in darkness. Hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most remarkable lives ever lived. If this video gave you something to think about, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Mr. Shazade, and on this channel, we bring you stories like this: real, powerful, human stories from history told in a way that actually makes you feel something. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye.